There is a trade-off at the center of this that no amount of gear makes go away, and it is worth naming before we touch a single product. A hardware wallet keeps your keys offline and out of reach of the machine you actually work on, and it pays for that safety and friction on every single signature. A software wallet, the hot kind that lives in your browser, is fast and frictionless and sits on exactly the machine most likely to get compromised. For airdrop work, where you interact constantly and hold rarely, that tension is the whole design problem. And I want to walk through how I actually resolve it as someone who runs this kind of setup for a living rather than reads about it. What hot and cold actually mean. A software or hot wallet keeps its private key in software, in your browser extension, or your phone app, on a device that talks to the internet all day. A hardware or cold wallet keeps the key on a small dedicated device that never hands the key out. It only signs, and it does that signing inside a chip your computer cannot reach into. Everything else, the apps, the chains, the pretty interface, is decoration on top of that one distinction where the key lives and whether the thing holding it is online. Get that difference clear first, because almost every honest argument here comes back to it. What a hardware wallet genuinely protects, the real thing a hardware wallet buys you, is protection from a compromised machine. If your laptop is riddled with malware, a software wallet's key can be lifted straight out of memory or storage, and the funds are gone before you notice. A hardware wallet's key never leaves the device, so that same infected laptop cannot simply copy it. The attacker has to get you to approve something on the device itself, which is a far higher bar than quietly reading a file. Tested against the most common way people lose keys, this is the layer that earns its price. The limit hardware wallets do not fix. Here is the part the packaging skips. A hardware wallet protects the key. It does not protect your judgment. If a malicious site hands you a transaction that drains your wallet and you approve it on the device signs it, because that is its job. The keys were never stolen. You authorized the loss yourself, one button press at a time. So the dangerous myth to kill early is that cold storage makes you safe. It makes your key hard to steal, and it does nothing about the far more common way funds actually leave, which is a signature you agreed to without understanding what it did. Why signing blind is the actual danger. This is the heart of it, and it matters more than the hot versus cold question. The classic drain does not break your key. It gets you to sign a request that looks routine and is not, an approval that grants an unknown address the right to move everything you hold. The wallet that saves you is the one that shows you, in plain words, what a signature will do before you commit to it. Where the key sits is secondary to whether you understood the thing you just authorized. An operator obsesses over the second question because that is where the real losses come from. Armenian versus a blob of data. This is where hardware and software have to work together rather than compete. A good software wallet, something like Rabbi or a recent MetaMask, simulates a transaction and tells you which tokens leave and which permissions you grant. The hardware wallet's small screen should then show you the same essential details, the address, the amount, the action, so you confirm against reality and not against a hash. The failure mode to fear is blind signing, where the device shows an unreadable blob and you approve it on faith. If your setup ever asks you to sign something the device cannot describe, that is the moment to stop, not the moment to trust. The convenience the cold path costs you. Being honest about the downside, a hardware wallet is slower and more annoying every single time. You plug in a device or wake it, enter a PIN, navigate a tiny screen, and confirm by hand. For a wallet you touch twice a year, that is nothing. For a wallet you interact with 40 times a day across a dozen protocols, that friction is real, and it is why people quietly stop using the safe path and drift back to the fast one. Pretending the cost is zero is how you end up with a great device sitting in a drawer while all the risky activity runs hot. What the hot wallet is genuinely for. So the hot wallet is not the enemy. It is the right tool for one specific job: constant, low-stakes interaction. It is the wallet that touches unfamiliar contracts, clicks through testnets and quests, and carries only what you can afford to lose outright if that exact wallet is drained tomorrow. Speed and low friction are features here, not sins, because the whole point of this tier is to interact a lot without ceremony. The discipline is not avoiding hot wallets, it is being ruthlessly honest about how little value is ever allowed to sit in one. The tier that holds real value. The other tier is the cold one, and its job is almost the opposite, to hold and to rarely act. This is where accumulated holdings and any drop worth protecting eventually land behind the hardware wallet, touching only contracts you actually trust. It signs seldom, it interacts with almost nothing unproven, and it is boring on purpose. The mistake is letting these two tiers blur. Running your holdings through the same hot wallet you use to poke at a brand new contract at midnight. Keeping the value and the exposure in different places is the entire idea, and it only works if you keep them genuinely separate rather than separate in theory. Moving a claim from hot to cold. The natural question is how a drop actually gets from the busy hot wallet to the quiet cold one, and the honest answer is carefully and deliberately. You claim with the interaction wallet, verify the tokens are real, and the claim contract is the official one, and then move what is worth keeping to the hardware wallet in a plain transfer you can read. For anything large, you can point the hardware wallet at the claim itself, with the software wallet as the window and the device holding the keys and approving, so a compromised browser cannot move funds on its own. The value does not have to stay hot, and moving it promptly is the habit that turns a good day into a safe one. The approval problem the hot wallet carries. A hot wallet used for constant interaction accumulates a specific liability, standing approvals. Every time you let a contract spend a token, that permission lingers long after you have moved on, and a contract that later turns malicious can use it. This is why the interaction wallet needs regular pruning, revoking approvals you no longer use, and why a wallet that shows and caps them is doing real work. The cold tier largely sidesteps this because it grants so few approvals in the first place. The busy wallet is where the permissions pile up, so the busy wallet is where you do the cleaning. Thus cares. The one rule that spans both tiers, there's authentication, there's absolute, and it is the same for hot and cold. The phrase that backs up a wallet is the wallet, and anything that asks you to type it into a website or an app is trying to take everything. A hardware wallet generates and stores its phrase so it never touches your computer at all, which is one of its quiet advantages. Write it on paper or steel, keep it offline, and treat any screen asking for it as hostile by default. No clever setup survives a seed phrase typed into the wrong box, the two names people land on. For hardware, most people end up looking at Ledger and Trezor, and the honest read is that both keep keys offline and both let you confirm details on the device with different philosophies. Ledger uses a closed secure element chip and a broad app ecosystem. Trezor leans on open source firmware that anyone can inspect. I am not going to call either one perfectly safe because nothing is, and both have had incidents and criticisms worth reading before you buy. Pick based on whether you value an open codebase or a certified chip more, and on which one actually supports the chains and the software wallet you already use day to day. Baping will be about device without poisoning it. A hardware wallet is only trustworthy if it reaches you untempered, so how you buy matters as much as which you buy. Order directly from the maker or an authorized seller, never a random third-party listing, and never a used one. When it arrives, initialize it yourself and let it generate a fresh seed, and walk away from any device that ships with a phrase already printed, which is a known theft setup. The whole security model rests on you being the only one who has ever seen that key, and a tempered supply chain quietly breaks that before you have signed a thing. Matching the tier to the value at stake. The rule that ties it together is simple. Exposure and value should move in opposite directions. The wallet with the most exposure, the one touching unfamiliar contracts all day, should hold the least. The wallet with the most value should have the least exposure, signing rarely and only for things it trusts. Most losses happen when those two collide in a single wallet that is both busy and heavy. You do not need a pile of devices to get this right. You need a clear line between the money you are working with and the money you are keeping, and the discipline to keep them on different sides of it. Testing your own setup before it matters. Do not take any of this on trust. Rehearse it with amounts too small to hurt. Send a few dollars to the hardware wallet, practice moving it back, and watch how a signing request appears on the device versus in the software wallet. Does the screen show you the real address and amount or an unreadable string? Can you actually complete a claim-style flow without fumbling? A quiet 20-minute rehearsal with trivial sums teaches you where your setup is awkward, and awkward is where the mistakes live on the day a real claim is on the line. The honest verdict. So the tested verdict is this: neither kind of wallet is safe on its own, and anyone selling you one as the whole answer is skipping the part that actually gets people. A hardware wallet makes your key hard to steal and does nothing about a signature you did not understand. A hot wallet makes interaction easy and keeps its key somewhere exposed. The setup that holds up is layered. A hot wallet carrying little for the constant work. A hardware wallet holding value and signing the big claims, and a habit of reading every transaction before you approve it. Convenience has a price, and the skill is deciding where you are willing to pay it. The current hardware and software wallets I actually trust, the pairing I run for claim day, and the fuller write-up of how to split value across these tiers are at airdropfarming.org, with no hype and nothing here being financial advice or a promise about any drop. I farm these the boring, methodical way and write up what actually qualifies, rather than what happens to sound exciting. Subscribe if you want opsy thinking over lottery thinking, tools tested honestly with the security caveats left in, and none of the guaranteed riches nonsense. Next time we stay on the wallet and walk into the scariest moment of the whole cycle, claim day itself, and how to reach a live distribution without handing a fake claim page the keys to everything you spent a season earning.